Hello, hello. I am so excited to welcome you to this week's episode where we're going to dive into 3 ways that your bad money mindset could be impacting your business. And I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, some journeys of past coaching clients, and you might even hear some stories about other things as well as we walk through this. So the first thing that I want to share with you is that if you have a bad money mindset, you're probably afraid to do the things you need to do when building your business. Now, last week, we talked about how your mindset could be stopping you, how you could be the one getting in your own way. But now we're going to talk a little bit about how your money mindset could be getting in your way in your business. You see, this really comes into play when it comes to setting your prices where they should be. I remember many years ago, I was working with a business coach, and she helped me put together these packages for my business, which I don't use packages anymore. Fun fact, I dislike packages, but that's a whole nother episode in itself. So this business coach had helped me come up with 3 packages for my portrait business. And I distinctively remember where I was sitting when I was on this call with her. We actually used to live in a camper because we bought property straight out of college, and we bought a camper and lived on a camper until we could afford to build a house. I remember sitting in the camper at the table where I used to work, and I remember her saying, your packages should be $1,000, $2,000, and $3,000. And your products should be here, here, and here. And I remember after I got off that call with her, I took all of the pricing that I had just paid her all of this money to come up with and create, and I dropped it all down. I think I dropped the $1,000 package to $850. And I think I dropped the $2,000 package to $1,500 and the $3,000 package to $2,200. I dropped those packages way down because I was terrified of those big, scary numbers. I think at the same time, she was probably telling me I needed to charge like $125 for an 8x10. And I was like, no way, that's insane. I'll put it at 95. And I marked it way down. And guess what? Eventually, over time, my prices ended up being exactly where she told me to put them. But I was too afraid to put them there. Did I know why I was too afraid to put them there? No, I had no idea. Looking back, I know it was because I was scared of money, and I was scared of asking my clients for their money. It freaked me out and it terrified me. Now, when I'm talking to my coaching clients about money and about pricing, it's really important I have a grasp on where their head is at. It's really important that I understand where they're at mentally, because I cannot go in good faith and recommend that somebody charges triple what they're comfortable with. And if it is triple what they're comfortable with, we need to figure out why they're not comfortable with that. Where is this coming from? What is happening that's stopping them from doing what I'm recommending? It is extremely important. So for those of you that are listening to this and you were like, hey, yeah, I've done that. I've taken the class. I've had the business coach. I've done the thing. I know what I should be charging for that canvas, but I am terrified. Then you need to examine and look at why you're scared of those prices. Are you afraid that people are going to look at you and be like, you're insane. There's no way I'm paying that? Maybe you're afraid that the people that can't afford those prices are not the kind of people that you like. Maybe you're sitting there going, I would never pay that. You need to sit down and start to look at why you are afraid of those prices. Why the thought of setting your prices where they should be freaks you out. Now, I actually recommend your cost of goods on your products be between 15 and 20% or less, depending on the product. So what is your cost of goods right now on your product? Do you know if something costs you $100, how much are you selling it for? Do you know the answer to that off the top of your head? First of all, you should. And if I'm saying cost of goods sold or COGS and you're sitting there going, ooh, I don't know what she means, then you probably don't have a good grasp on your prices and what they should be and where they're set at. So when you think about your pricing and you think about what you need to be doing in your pricing, how do you feel about it? Are you sitting there saying, I know I need to do this, but I'm terrified? And if so, that's okay. Why are you terrified? Let's look into that. Let's dive into it and let's figure out where it's coming from. That is the first place that I really see photographers struggling with their pricing and their mindset. And this is all rooted in this really fun topic of money mindset. And you might remember we had Christina Bold on the podcast. Christina Bold was my personal money mindset coach. And she was the person that really helped me see a lot of these things in my own business that I was blind to. In our Master Your Mind and Money program, in our mindset module, we talk about all these fears. We break them down. We say, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of this? Are you afraid of that? Are you afraid of this, that? What is it? Which one of these is really just like a fork going into your side? Which one of these really just hits you and makes you twinge a little bit? And we help you figure out where these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions are coming from when it comes to your money mindset and your pricing. So that when we dive into pricing, you're not freaking out about it. And you know, it's okay. It's going to be good. I can set these prices here. You know that people are going to be excited and ready to spend that money. And you also understand why your pricing needs to be set that way. Because setting your pricing is not only about your mindset, but it's about knowing the logic and the reason why your prices need to be set that way. Earlier, I mentioned I typically recommend COGS somewhere between 15 and 20% or less, depending on the product. But if I said that and you're like, that's insane, where's the rest of that money going? And you had no idea where the rest of the money was going, you're not going to understand why your COGS needs to be there. Now, if I sat down and I explained to you where the money is going in your business, if I explained to you that $100 canvas that you sell for $500, where every penny of that's going, and you learn to manage every penny of that $500 in your business, and you learn to recognize that the reason why you need to charge that much is because you want to put that $100,000 in your pocket. In order to do that, you're going to need to sell a lot of those $500 canvases to get there. And if that $500 canvas was only being sold for $250, you're going to have to work twice as hard, which isn't possible. That also goes a long way in this mindset thing when it comes to setting your prices. So I need to make sure that you sit and you look at your fears and your worries and all of those things when it comes to setting your prices and where those feelings are coming from. But I also need you to look into the fact of, do you truly understand money in your business? Do you truly understand where money is going in your business, where money flows to? What money goes in your pocket? What money goes to taxes? What money goes to your expenses? Do you truly understand those things? Or are you just throwing some prices up there because somebody told you need to do it? The combination of looking at your mindset and really understanding your numbers is going to play a huge role in setting your prices where they need to be. Now you might be saying, hey, Karinda, but I'm just beginning. I'm just starting out. I've had people tell me that my prices need to be here, but I'm just starting out. How can I charge that for a canvas? And what I want to say to you is that your time and your work is just as valuable as mine. Just because I've been in this industry for over 10 years doesn't mean that you can't charge the same price as I'm charging. Because it's not just about how good your work is. Your clients are going to love your work regardless of how good it is. Honestly, your clients don't really know the difference between an out of focus picture or a properly composed picture or not. They just see them and their pets or them and their family or them and their husband. They don't see all of those other things that we see. Now, what I'll tell you is that from day one, you should set your prices for the business you want to have 5, 10 years down the road. Don't set your prices today for where you think you want to go. And then next year, reevaluate and change them. And next year, reevaluate and change them because you will be on this vicious cycle. So set your prices where they need to be and where they should be for the business you are looking to build and the end game you want. Don't just set them up to be good for this year or next year. Set them up for the end game. And what's going to happen is as you get better and as you are a better artist and as you're better at the client experience and as you're better at selling without feeling like a sleazy salesperson, you're going to find that your clients buy more art and they buy bigger art. But your pricing never changes. But as they buy more and bigger art, your sales will go up and up. And over time, you might make a little tweak here and there. I still tweak a little bit, but nothing earth-shattering is really changing in my pricing anymore. It's pretty much been the same for the last few years. The second thing we need to talk about when we are diving into money mindset and how that impacts your business is this whole idea of freaking out when you say your prices to your clients. Are there any of you out here that are like, yeah, I go to see my prices and I freak out and I want to crawl in a bowl and cry because it scares me and I don't know what to do? Maybe you're like, yeah, so that canvas, it's so amazing and so beautiful. $850. As you crawl away and you can't make eye contact and you don't know what to do and you're breaking out in a nervous sweat because you're afraid of how your clients are going to react. Or do you have the ability to go up to a client and say, that canvas is going to be $5,200 and shut your mouth and just wait and not worry and not be fearful and not have these weird feelings and emotions inside of you over saying your prices? If you find yourself in a place where you're worrying or you're fearful about your prices and the thought of saying or expressing those prices to people scares you, obviously we need to go back to step one. Step one is we need to know and be confident in our pricing. We need to understand why it's set up the way it needs to be set up. That's going to give us a whole nother level of confidence when we are speaking our pricing into the world. We also need to go back to step one where we talked about what our fears are when it came to setting our pricing. Because if we tackle our fears when it comes to setting our pricing, then we dive into step two and we start to look at, oh, now I have to say the prices to people. This is scary. We have to look at where those fears are coming from. Are they coming from the same fears as we talked about before? Or are they coming from a new place? Are we afraid and fearful of how our clients are going to react and respond? Are we afraid of the rejection that we might get? Are we afraid that our clients are going to be angry or upset with us? Where is this fear coming from that we don't want to confidently say our prices? And I will tell you, if you have your pricing set up in a way that you know the science behind, you know your pricing is profitable, you know it's good, you know it has to be that way it is, because you know that to pay yourself the money you need to pay yourself to do this full time and to live the life you want to live, you know that pricing has to be set there. If you know that you have dealt with those weird feelings about pricing, then saying your prices should get much easier. And if it isn't, then you need to dig a little deeper and see where the rest of those feelings are coming from. If you have all these things dealt with, and you have your proper client experience in place to prepare your client for the possibility of spending tons of money with you, if you have enough touch points in place in your workflow that you are properly educating your client without a doubt on the idea that they're going to spend a lot of money with you, then you shouldn't be fearful to say your prices, because you should have educated them so many times throughout the process that when it comes down to actually buy something, our clients know when they're ready and prepared that they're going to be paying thousands of dollars for these products. And it should not be fearful, and you should not be worried, and you should not be anxious. Some of this comes in proper preparation. Some of this also comes from practice and visualizations and doing that rehearsing, doing that practice that we talked about before in a previous episode where we talked about us getting our own way. We start to realize that these situations with our clients can and should be positive at the end, that our clients can and should be excited to spend money, and that when we say those prices, people are going to be okay with it and they're not going to react poorly. So really start to think about those things. And the other thing I want to share with you here is that you need to practice saying your prices. If you aren't freely, hey, most of my clients spend like $5,000 or $6,000. Sometimes I have clients that spend $1,000. Sometimes I have clients that spend $20,000 or $30,000, and that's just normal everyday life. If you can't just rattle off something like that, then you need to start rattling something like that off. You need to speak it. You need to say it. You need to write down the numbers. You need to be comfortable with those numbers, because maybe those numbers freak you out. Maybe you've never actually even said the word $5,000, and now you have a $5,000 canvas on your price list and you're like, what the heck? Maybe you've never physically touched that $5,000 canvas. Maybe you've never even considered buying anything in your whole life that costs $5,000, and the thought of that freaks you out. So why are you going to be able to tell your clients this? We have to start to say, to embrace, to be okay with these numbers, to be okay with these thoughts and these feelings, and to know that people are going to respond in a good, positive way. And that's going to make it 100 times easier to talk about our prices with our clients confidently. I want you to go from that canvas will be $800 to that canvas will be $5,200. How would you like to pay? There's a big difference there. And if you cannot stand in front of the mirror and say those words and recite your pricing with confidence and an upbeat voice and excitement, then you can't say those prices to your clients either. It will be a struggle. Practice saying them to your spouse, your friends, whoever it may be. Now, if your friends are going to be judgy, then just say, whatever, I don't want your judgment. But practice saying them to your dog or your horse if you have to. Walk out into your pasture and say, Lucy, that canvas of you will be $5,200. Which of my credit cards should I put it on? Don't be afraid to talk about your prices and start to practice saying your prices. Now, this last thing, when it comes to how your money mindset might be impacting your business, is that maybe you can't even take the step to put yourself out there. You have no clients coming through your door, and you aren't even really marketing yourself because you're worried that everybody who comes to the door is going to say, you're too expensive anyway. Does this resonate with any of you? I want to know which of these points resonates with you. Make sure you head over into our Facebook group or you share with us there, Photography Business Tune Up with Karinda Kate, which of these points really resonates with you. If you're sitting there and you're going, man, sounds painfully familiar. I'm not even putting myself out there. I'm not even doing marketing. I'm not willing to go talk to the clients that I need to get through my door because I am too afraid they're going to say, you're too expensive. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of people thinking I'm greedy. Where is this coming from? And I'm going to take this one step further and ask you another question. If you're sitting here going, I can't get any clients through the door, I'm going to ask you this. What are you doing to put yourself out there? What are you doing to market yourself? And if all you can say is, I post on Facebook and Instagram, you are not marketing yourself. You are not putting yourself out there. Posting on Facebook or Instagram is not enough. I'm going to challenge you to put yourself out there more, to be present as a person in your business more, to figure out why the thought of having these conversations with potential clients about your pricing is freaking you out, and then to decide that that is no longer your reality. To decide that you can have good, positive conversations with people who are ready and willing and excited to invest with you, and that you can say those prices confidently and know that your price list is set up in a way that it should be, that is highly profitable and pays you well. If you're sitting here and you're going, oh my gosh, maybe I have been stopping myself. Maybe I have been getting in my own way. Maybe I haven't been putting myself out there because I'm too afraid of the rejection. I'm too afraid of people telling me I'm too expensive. Then I'm just going to say you have every power to change this reality. And if you're not sure how you have the power to change this reality, I want you to go back and listen to our episode about why you keep getting in your own way. Because this is very relevant to this whole topic and this whole idea of why we get in our own way. Has something bad happened to you that has caused you to believe that every person you talk to is going to tell you you're expensive and you're crazy for charging those prices? Who has told you that? Was it your friend? Was it your spouse? Was it your family members? Was it an actual client? Where did this come from? When did you decide that everyone was going to tell you were too expensive and there's no way on earth they were going to pay for that? And I'm going to tell you, if it was a friend, family member, a spouse, whatever it may be, who told you this, then you need to consider putting up boundaries around those people. You need to consider that those people are not the supportive, encouraging people that you need in your life. If you want a whole host of supportive people that will tell you to go raise your prices, then come hang out with me and come hang out with my groups. We will tell you to raise your prices and do the big scary thing. And we will tell you that you are not insane. If you realize that you're surrounded by those people, then start to put up some boundaries. Start to put yourself around people who are in the same place you are and are ready and willing to spend money on what you have. Put yourself in a place where people are going to support you and build you up and not tear you down, not plant those negative thoughts in your head. I could go off on this for a while. My own family, when I started my business, my mom was like, hey, you know what, Karinda? You went to school. You have a college degree. You went to A&M. Like, there's a lot of money that went into that. You're going to be a photographer? There's no way. That's not a real job. My sisters said to me, your clients spend $800 with you? That's crazy. None of our friends, nobody we know would ever spend $800 on portraits. That was in the early years, right? Now it's a bit of a joke. Every time I have a giant sale, I'm like, remember that time you told me people wouldn't spend $800? Guess how much somebody spent today? But if I would have chosen to let my sisters and my mom really plant those seeds inside of my head, and I would have chosen to listen to that doubt they were planting inside of me, instead of surrounding myself with a positive, encouraging group of people who are willing to support me and cheer me on and to build me up, then I would have ended up just where they told me I was going to end up. I would have let the The words that they said dictate my reality because my brain and my body would have been protecting me from that outcome. This is never going to work. Nobody's ever going to pay that kind of money, Karinda. So make sure that if these thoughts and these feelings are coming from an external force in your life, you do a bit of a audit on where they're coming from. I like to use that word. It's a really good thing to do. We're actually going to do an episode about this later on, a full in-depth episode. But do a bit of an audit about who's around you. Are they contributing in a positive or negative way to your life and to your business? And if they are contributing in a negative way, that might be your sign that you need to build some boundaries. Put some things in place to protect yourself, your mind. Because ultimately, all of these things, all of these money mindset things that really impact us in our business, they all started with some harmless words that were spoken into our lives. Maybe when we were growing up, a family member made a comment in passing about some boss that they have that's filthy rich and makes a ton of money and is a total jerk. So from that day forward, the seed was planted in your head that people who have money to spend on things are jerks. Maybe once upon a time, somebody told you photography is not a real job, it's just a hobby. Maybe once upon a time, you were sharing your pricing and what you were doing in your business with somebody, and they looked at you and said, "That's insane. Nobody's ever going to pay that. You should lower your prices." Or maybe they said, "Why would anyone come to you? They could go get all the digital files from down the road for a tenth of the price." And maybe you choose to listen to those words that planted those seeds of doubt into your head, and you decided to let them trickle down into your business. Those harmless words that somebody said to you in passing could ultimately be the dynamite that causes your entire business to explode, to crumble, because you are so worried and fearful and you are so stuck on those things. Don't want to set your prices where they need to be. You freak out when you have to say your prices because you're worried somebody's going to judge you or think of you poorly because of the prices you charge. And you're not even putting yourself out there because you're afraid of the rejection. So think about these things and really ask yourself, am I choosing to let these things stop me in my tracks, or have I decided to conquer these things and grow? Go back to this episode where we talked about stop getting in your own way and start to implement these new stories, these new visualizations, these new practices to make these things in your life easier. And I think some really cool stuff that we talked about whenever I had Christina Bold on the podcast, who was my mindset mentor, we talked a lot about the different ways you can change your mindset. And one of the things she actually mentioned that I thought was really cool was she actually commented on hypnosis. And she talked about how hypnosis is something that she's really been digging into a lot more since her and I had worked together years ago. And how there are even tools like hypnosis that take this a step further and allow you to get down into your subconscious mind and make these changes quicker and faster and more efficiently. You do have the power and the tools to do this on your own, and you can, to make these changes and to realize that these things are happening in your business, to get out of your own way, to stop letting your bad money mindset impact you and your money making ability. But there comes a time sometimes when we need help from a professional. We need somebody to help poke the bear, so to say, right? Jamie is one of my coaching clients. She also helps me out in my coaching business. And Jamie worked with me one-on-one, and recently we were having some conversations about some different things. And I was like, hey, I think you should go watch the mindset videos in our course. because I really do think that there's some things there that maybe we didn't dive into fully when we were doing one-on-one coaching because there's only so much time. And I'm like, I think that these videos might be helpful. And she went through and she started watching them and she was like, oh my gosh, you called out so many things that when you said them, I was like, oh, guilty. I am so guilty of this. This is happening in my business that I didn't realize were happening in my business because nobody had called me out about them. So sometimes you need a little help to get called out on these things. Sometimes you need a little bit of a nudge. Sometimes you need a little bit of encouragement, but you can start on your own. And then when you're ready for that nudge and that encouragement and that guide, then you start to find your guide. I can come in a lot of different ways in a lot of different places. If you want my help here, I am always more than willing to help you out there. It is a big part of what we teach in our coaching program because it is so valuable. And there are also people like Christina that do this and that's their specialty and that's all they do is they help people with their mindsets. So make sure you go out and you seek a guide if you get in a place where you're just feeling stuck or you need that little bit of an extra kick in the butt. Come to our Facebook group, our Photography Business Tune-Up Facebook group, and post in there and share. Like I said, there's tons of people in there that would love to help encourage you there. But I hope that you're able to take these 3 areas, look at them in your business and say, how is my money mindset impacting my business? Am I afraid to set my prices where they need to be? Are you freaking out when it comes to saying your prices to potential clients or to your current clients? Or even worse, are you afraid to even put yourself out there because you're afraid what people are going to say? Maybe you have no clients because you're not putting yourself out there. Think about these 3 things and really take some time to write down your thoughts and your feelings and start to change these stories. And you're going to be that much closer to being able to go out, do the big scary thing, charge the prices and have those clients that are ready, willing, and excited to spend 6, 7, maybe 10 or $20,000 with you in your business once you really master your mindset.